Howdy do, folks. It's your old Uncle Jason here to drop some deep truth on you. And today we're going to go through Chapter 2 of Conquer Your Negative Thoughts by David G. Amen. Now, just so you know, this next chapter is going to challenge a little bit about what you think and what you've been told. But I ask that you listen, or if you have a book with you, read along with an open mind and apply it where you think it could be applied. Just know, I'm not diagnosing nothing. I'm not, trying to cure nothing. I'm not a doctor. Just reading you from a book that I think will be beneficial for you. And it's definitely beneficial for me as well. I encourage you to, if you need, reach out to some sort of therapist somewhere if you need somebody to talk to. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, but if you need professional help, please don't be ashamed to do so. I encourage you to do so, because everybody needs some help. Remember, the Bible says Jesus wept. And friends, you can too. So let's get into it. Chapter 2. You are what you think. As you think, so you feel. As you feel, so you do. And as you do, so you have. Joseph McClendon III, author of Get Happy Now. When I was a young psychiatrist, I used a technique called biofeedback to help me understand and treat my patients. Biofeedback uses instruments to measure hand temperature, sweat gland activity, muscle tension, breathing rate, heart rate, and brainwave patterns. If we know how your body reacts to stress, we can teach you how to soothe it. Your conscious and unconscious brain expresses its aspirations, worries, fears, stress, love, joy, hatred, and happiness through your body's reactions. Knowing this, I developed a word association test to see how my patients' bodies responded to certain words and concepts. I hooked them up to a biofeed equipment as I would a lie detector machine, and then asked them to think about certain words. Some of the words are innocuous, INNOCUOUS, such as telephone, book, or paperclip, and other words are have more emotional meanings, such as mother, father, siblings, job, children, and spouse. Most people have only small psychological reactions to innocuous words, but much larger reactions to emotionally loaded words. For example, if I say baseball or train, there is usually little movement in the biofeed equipment, unless a person loves a baseball team or collects model trains. However, when I say words like mother or father, I usually see a significant change. If mother is a positive concept in the person's life, like mine is for me, the changes move in a positive direction. Heart and beating rate slow, muscles become more relaxed, hands become warmer and drier. If mother is associated with painful or stressful memories, the change usually goes in a stressful direction. Heart and breathing rate escalates, muscles become more tense, hands become colder, and sweat gland activity increases. Through biofeed, I've learned that your brain is always listening and responding to every thought you have, especially the stressful and positive ones. The thousands of thoughts you have every day are based on myriad factors, including past experiences, sensory input, dreams, what you had for dinner last night, and the health of your gut bacteria. Negative thoughts cause your brain to immediately release chemicals that affect every cell in your body, making you feel bad, while the opposite is also true. Positive, happy, hopeful thoughts release chemicals that make you feel good. Your thought patterns can also have long-term effects. Repetitive negative thinking may promote the buildup of harmful deposits seen in the brain of people with Alzheimer's disease, and may increase the risk of dementia, according to a 2020 brain imaging study in Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, I'm going to pause right there. This is not in any way saying that people with bad things happening in their life is their fault. This is just a means of saying your thoughts can dictate how you think and feel. Just a disclaimer, because I know there's a lot of folks that's turning me off right now simply because they think that I'm blaming them for their own situation. It is what it is. Thoughts are what they are. But if you entertain them, bad things can happen. Negative thoughts, obviously. So let's continue. Thoughts are also automatic. They just happen. And just because you have a thought has nothing to do with whether it is true. Thoughts lie. They lie a lot. And it is your uninvestigated or unquestioned thoughts that steal your happiness. If you do not question or correct your erroneous thoughts, you believe them, and you act as if they are 100% true. For example, if I thought my wife never listens to me, it would make me feel sad and lonely and eventually a little angry. If I never questioned the negative thought, even though it isn't true, I would act as if it were true and give myself permission to be irritable with her, making it less likely she would ever want to listen to me. Allowing yourself to believe every thought you have is the prescription for anxiety disorders, depression, relationship problems, and chronic illness. You must protect yourself from the negative thoughts that are trying to steal your happiness. And to do that, you need to learn how to squash your ants, also known as automatic negative thoughts. But first, let's take a brief tour of your brain so that you can better understand how ants impact not only your emotional health, but your physical and spiritual health as well. Now, take a look at this. This is a small look of what all the spots that we're going to be talking about here. Just so you know. It's better that you have the book, that way you can look for yourself. Your brain, a very brief primer. As we embark on this journey together, it's important to briefly get acquainted with the 6 brain systems involved in running your life. Obviously, your brain is complicated and involves many different structures, but these are particularly important as we work in concert to create your moods, anxieties, memory, and behavior. Prefrontal cortex, or PFC, found in the front third of the brain. The PFC plays a major role in executive functions, like the boss at work, such as focus, forethought, judgment, planning, decision-making, and impulse control. When it is low in activity from head trauma, toxins, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or other causes, people tend to struggle with attention, distractibility, disorganization, procrastination, and impulsive behavior. It is like the boss went on vacation. Anterior cingulate gyrus, or ACG, found deep within the frontal lobes. It is involved with shifting attention and error detection. When the ACG is overactive, people tend to struggle with getting stuck on negative thoughts or behaviors, worrying being oppositional or argumentative, or seeing too many errors in themselves or others. Amygdala, or AMY, is the almond-shaped structure, is found underneath the temples and behind the eyes. There is one on each side of the brain. They are involved in emotion, threat detection, and aggression. They tend to be overactive in people who have past emotional trauma, are hypervigilant, always watching for something bad to happen, or are socially anxious. When the AMI are underactive, people tend to have less fear, like the rock climber in Free Solo and being risk takers. The hippocampus, HC, Greek for seahorse, hippo, horse, campus, sea monster. Your two hippocampi are about the size of your thumbs and found deep in the brain on the inside of your left and right temporal lobes, just behind the amygdala. They are part of your emotional brain and help you feel happy or sad and are central to memory. They retain new information and store it up for several weeks. If it is reinforced, you keep it longer. If the hippocampi are damaged, you cannot store new information. In the movie 50 First Dates, Lucy, Drew Barrymore's character, had a severe car accident that damaged her left and right hippocampi. After she falls asleep, memories of the prior day are wiped out. Memory problems are associated with low activity in the HC, and it is one of the first areas of the brain that dies in Alzheimer's disease. The HC also can produce up to 70 new stem cells a day if put in a nourishing environment. Think good nutrition, omega-3 fatty acids, oxygen levels, blood flow, and mental stimulation. The basal ganglia, BG, is the large structure deep in the brain that are involved in habit formation. The BG also contains the nucleus accumbens, NA, which is a part of your reward system, motivates you to go towards pleasure and away from pain. It is exquisitely responsive to the feel-good neurotransmitter dopamine involved in addiction. The NA is involved with cravings. It is also if it is underactive, people tend to feel flat and depressed. They are more vulnerable to addiction and to craving substances activated such as drugs, alcohol, sex, or high-calorie sugar foods. Cerebellum, CB, Latin for little brain, is located at the bottom portion of the brain. It is only 10% of the brain's volume, yet it contains half of the brain's neurons or cells. It is involved in coordination, processing speed, cognitive processing, and languages. The 4 circles of health and illness. These biological systems of the brain represents one of 4 circles of overall physical and mental health, which I can think about whenever I evaluate or treat any patient. I first wrote about them in my book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Here's a brief description of each of those 4 circles. Biological. How the physical aspects of your brain and body function. One of the major principles of my work is that you want to keep the physical functioning of your brain healthy, or rescue it if it's heading for trouble. You have to prevent or treat 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. My team created the pneumatic bright minds to summarize them. Blood flow, retirement/aging, inflammation, genetics, head trauma, toxins, mental health, abnormal electrical activity, immunity and infections, relevant after a pandemic, neurohormones, diabetes, a combination of overweight and having high blood sugar, and sleep disturbances. The biological circle also encompasses diet and exercise. Psychological. How you think and talk to yourself, as well as self-concept, body image, emotional trauma, upbringing, and significant life events. Ants influence your psychological health by saying whether you are enough, good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, strong enough, rich enough, and so on. When you squash your ants and you believe that you are enough, you will be happier and more confident. When you feel less than enough, your brain can give into sadness, anxiety, and failure. Society. The quality of your relationships and your current life stresses. When you have solid relationships, a healthy family, a role or career you enjoy, and financial stability, your brain tends to do much better when any of these areas are troubled. Your ants can take over when difficult life situations, such as an illness, excuse me, relationship breakup or divorce, layoff or death of a loved one, elevate stress hormone levels. When this circle is unhealthy, you are most vulnerable to illness, such as depression, anxiety disorders, and more. Spiritual, your connection to God, the planet, the past, the future generations, and your deepest sense of meaning and purpose. You are more than just your brain cells, thoughts. Let's see, I lost my place. There. You are more than just your brain cells, thoughts, and connections. I believe we are all created with divine purpose. When your brain listens to ants, it's easy to forget that your life matters and that you have a role and a calling to fulfill. When any one circle is unhealthy, your brain is more likely to listen to your ants and let them take control. Now let's talk about how to squash those ants and regain control of your brain, your health, and your life. Killing your ants. My ants killing process is based on the work of two mentors, psychiatrist Aaron Beck, who pioneered a school of psychotherapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is an effective treatment for anxiety disorders, depression, relationship problems, and even obesity. And Byron Katie, a teacher and author who developed the 5 questions we'll discuss later in Appendix A to kill ants. How you feel often relates to quality of your thoughts. If they are mostly negative, you will feel mostly negative. If they are mostly positive, you will feel mostly positive. Ants link, stack, and multiply with other ants to attack you. For instance, the ants grow stronger and increase in number before bed when you get less sleep, when your blood sugar is low, in winter right before a woman's menstrual cycle, when you're under stress, and when you lose someone you love. It's also a tall order when you're tired, angry, lonely, or lacking. Remember that, folks. Every time you have a thought, your brain releases chemicals. That's how your brain works. You have a thought, your brain releases chemicals, electrical transmissions travel through your brain, and you become aware of what you're thinking. Thoughts are real. They have a powerful impact on how you feel and behave. Just as a muscle that's exercised becomes stronger, repeatedly thinking the same thoughts makes them stronger too. Every time you have an angry, unkind, hopeless, helpless, worthless, sad, or irritating thought, such as, I'm stupid, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel bad. In this way, your body reacts to every negative thought you have. Marcus was exercising his brain to feel depression, sadness, and failure. I asked him to think about the last time he was mad. How did his body feel? When most people are angry, the muscles become tense, their hearts beat faster, their hands start to sweat, and they may even begin to feel a little dizzy. Marcus told me he got dizzy and sweaty and felt confused and stupid. Similarly, every time you have a happy, hopeful, kind, optimistic, positive thought, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel good. I asked Marcus to think about the last time he had a happy thought. How did he feel inside his body? When most people are happy, their muscles relax, their heart beats more slowly, their hands become dry, and they breathe more evenly. Marcus told me about an outing with his father where they were fishing and had a great time. When he thought about it, he said he felt peaceful, happy, and didn't feel stupid. Thoughts are powerful, and your body relaxed every single one you have. Thoughts can make your mind and body feel good, or they can make you feel bad. Every cell in your body is affected by the thought you have. You know this from polygraph or lie detector tests. During a polygraph, a person is connected to instruments that measure hand temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, muscle tension, sweat gland activity. The tester then asks questions such as, did you do that misdeed? Almost immediately, the tested person's body reacts to every thought they have, whether they say anything or not. If the person did it and worries they'll be found out, their body is likely to have a stress response and react to the following ways. Hand temperature drops, heart rate speeds up, blood pressure increases, breathing rates increases, but breaths are more shallow. Muscle tension increases, sweat glands activity increases. The opposite is true. If they did not do the deed, their body will experience a relaxation response and react to the following ways. Hand temperature increases, heart rate slows, blood pressure decreases, breathing rate decreases, and breaths become deeper. Muscle tension decreases, sweat gland activity decreases. Again, your body reacts almost immediately to what you think, and not just when you're asked about telling the truth. Your body reacts to every thought you have, whether it is about work, friends, family, or anything else. This is why people become upset. They often develop physical symptoms such as headaches, stomach aches, or diarrhea, or they become more susceptible to illness. Imagine what is happening in Marcus's young body as his mind was flooded with negative thoughts. As I mentioned at the start of this chapter, Amen Clinics uses biofeed equipment to measure the same psychological responses as polygraphs: hand temperature, heart rate, breathing, muscle tension, and sweat gland activity. I hooked up Marcus to our equipment, and when I asked him about baseball, sport he loved, his baby sister, his friends, his body showed an immediate relaxation response. Yet when I asked him about school, feeling stupid, and his history teacher, with whom he was having a particularly hard time, his hands immediately got colder and his heart rate and muscle tension increased. His breathing rate became disorganized and his hands started to sweat more. Marcus and his mother were amazed to see the evidence of how his body responded to every thought he had. I taught Marcus to think of his body as an ecosystem that contains everything in the environment, such as air, water, lands, cars, people, animals, vegetation, houses, landfills, and more. A negative thought is like pollution in his whole system. Just like pollution in Los Angeles or Beijing affects everyone going outdoors, negative thoughts pollute your mind and body. Your thoughts are hardwired to be negative. In generations past, negative thoughts protected us from every early death or becoming supper from powerful animals. From our earliest times on Earth, being aware and avoiding danger was crucial to survival. Unfortunately, even when the world became safer, negativity bias remained in our brains. Researchers have demonstrated that negative experiences have greater impact on the brain than positive ones. People pay more attention to negative than they do positive news, which is why news outlets typically lead broadcasts with floods, murders, political disasters, and all forms of mayhem. According to research from the content marketing website Outbrain.com, in two periods of 2012, the average click-through rate on headlines with negative adjectives was an astonishingly 63% higher than for headlines with positive ones. A negative perspective is more contagious than a positive one, which may be why political campaigns typically go negative at the end. Even our language is not exempt. 62% of words in the English language dictionary connote negative emotions, while 32% express positive ones. Psychologist and author Rick Hansen has written that the brain is wired for negativity bias. Bad news is quickly stored in the brain to keep us safe, but positive experiences have to be held in consciousness for more than 12 seconds before they stay with us. The brain is like Velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones, Hansen wrote. Psychologist Mihaly CSIKSZENTMIHAILI, author of Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, suggested that without other thoughts to occupy us, our brains will always return to worry. The only way to escape this is to focus on what will be flow. The only way to escape this is to focus on what will bring flow, activities that increase our sense of purpose and achievement. Negative emotions trump positive emotions, which is why it is critical to discipline our natural tendency towards the negative and amplify more helpful thoughts and emotions. I taught Marcus that his negative thought pattern was common but not helpful. Thoughts are automatic and often lie. Thoughts are based on complex chemical reactions in the brain, memories from the past, the quality of our sleep, hormones, and blood sugar, and many other factors. They are automatic, reflexive, random, and overwhelmingly negative. Plus, they often are erroneous. Unless disciplined and bridled, they will lie to you and wreak havoc in your life. Marcus thought he was stupid. He told himself so multiple times a day because he had trouble staying focused and didn't perform well on tests. Yet when he was tested, his IQ was 135, in the top 1% of all people. I told him it was critical to question every stupid thought that went through his head. It's important to examine your thoughts to see if they are true and if they are helping you or hurting you. Unfortunately, if you never challenge your thoughts, you will simply believe them and then act on them in act out that erroneous belief. By repeatedly allowing his undisciplined thoughts to invade his mind, telling himself he was stupid, a failure, a terrible person who hated school and was hated by his teachers, Marcus was more likely to behave in ways that would make those terrible things happen. I told him that his brain makes happen what it sees, which is why it is critical to get control of your thoughts. The 7 strategies to master your mind. It is possible to learn how to listen to your thoughts and redirect them so that you can feel happier and more positive. Here are 7 strategies that will help you put what I have just discussed to practice. Strategy 1. Eliminate ants as they attack. Get a journal or use a notes app on your phone, and whenever you feel sad, nervous, or out of control, first write down your automatic thoughts. Identify the ant species. There may be more than one. Ask yourself if you are 100% sure the thought is true. Shining a beam of truth on ants causes them to disintegrate. Think about it as a magnifying glass. You know, the little beam of light whenever we was kids to burn whatever was underneath that little beam. That's exactly what you're doing it whenever you challenge your thoughts. First, from a woman who was raped, who came to see me for anxiety and depression. Ant. I am frustrated. Ant species. She listed it as an all or nothing and labeling ant. Is it true? Is it not true? Is it true? It is not true, she wrote. I am a good person who was attacked. I can overcome it and become whole. Talking back to the thought takes away its power. Resist the devil and give him no place. You resist, he flees. From a father whose adult son was a drug addict. The ant. I am not a good father. Ant species. He listed it as an all or nothing and guilt-beating ant. Is it true? It is not true. He wrote, I was present and loving. Addiction runs in our family, but ultimately it was my son's choice to engage in behaviors where he lost control. I will be here to support him as I can, but I cannot control his life. From a woman whose son was murdered. Ant. I am evil for wanting his murderer to be punished. Ant species. Listed it as a labeling ant. Is it true? It is not true, she wrote. I am a good person with a loving heart. I miss my son so much, and I have hope I will see him again in heaven. From a woman having marital problems who felt herself becoming more clingy and desperate. My husband will leave me and I will be all alone. Ant species listed it as fortune-telling ant. Is it true? She wrote. I don't know if it is true, but if I keep acting anxious and desperate, he will leave me. I need to be strong no matter what happens. From a man who was fired from work because of his temper. I am a bad person. I will never find another job. My family will be destitute. The ant species, he listed it as labeling ant and fortune-telling ant. Is it true? I need to understand and fix my temper. I am a good person and will work to find another job to care for my family and myself. And this is from a young person who is struggling in college. The ant, I will never be good as my friends. The ant species is an all or nothing ant. Is it true? He told me. I am better than my friends at some things, but not at others. I need to stop being so hard on myself. Confronting ants with truth is a powerful tool. Several months after Marcus learned to eliminate the ants, his anxiety and depression were remarkably reduced, and his school performance improved. He went on to graduate from college with honors and eventually from law school. Don't believe every stupid thought it has of you. Strategy 2. Stop monkey mind by paying attention to it. We all deal with disjointed thoughts at times, but one of the best ways to stop the monkeys from ruining your mind is with all of their distractions is to start paying attention to them. When you ignore your inner life, like attention-starved children, the monkeys start to misbehave, torture you, belittle you, and wreak all kinds of havoc. However, when you start noticing your thoughts, evaluating them, and even being amused by them, they loosen their control over your emotional life. Taking time to reflect and direct your inner life can help you train your monkeys to work for you rather than threaten your sanity. Meditation is a wonderful way to get control of your mind. Research has shown that meditation can slow your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, increase your circulation, aid your digestion, and strengthen your immune system, improve your cognition, focus, and memory, and decrease your brain aging, addictions, anxiety, depression, and irritability. You might consider trying loving kindness meditation, in which you direct your thoughts of love, compassion, and goodwill toward yourself, those close to you, and others with whom you have strained relationships. Devoting a few minutes today to meditation practice, whether by meditating on scripture passages or doing loving kindness meditations, will help you quiet your mind. Strategy 3. Start every day with a phrase, "Today is going to be a great day." As soon as you awaken or your feet hit the floor in the morning, say the words out loud. And since your mind is prone to negativity, it will find stress in the upcoming day unless you train and discipline it. When you direct your thoughts to "today is going to be a great day," your brain will help you uncover reason why it will be so. When I'm on a tour for public television, for example, I wake up in a different city every morning. My brain can anticipate everything that could go wrong, including the hassles of travel, causing me to feel lousy. Instead, when I say "today is going to be a great day," I think of all. You have a choice in where you direct your attention, even in times of loss. This simple strategy can make a powerfully positive difference in your life. Strategy number 4. Record your moods and look for ways to increase gratitude. Business professionals frequently say you cannot change what you do not measure. That's why it's smart to keep a daily journal to record and measure your feelings you want to decrease, such as anxiety, fear, sadness, anger, or grief, or what you want to increase, such as joy, happiness, or other emotion. Write down a feeling and evaluate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 where it is awful and 10 where it is great. Whenever you have a difficult day or several days, you can look at your journal and try to spot trends, such as certain days of the week, and times of the day, and the time of your menstrual cycle, whether you have eaten or not, and more. One of the early lessons I learned as a psychiatrist was that I could make nearly anyone cry or feel upset by the questions I asked. If I asked people to think about their worst memories, the times they failed, the incidents where they were most embarrassed, or the day they lost someone they loved. Within seconds they would feel bad. But the opposite was also true. If I asked them to think about their happiest moments, the times they succeeded or experienced a falling in love, they generally started to smile. Here are 6 quick journaling exercises to help you change your focus. The first, write out 3 things for which you are grateful. Gratitude helps direct your attention towards positive feelings, away from negative ones. Dr. Hans Selye, Selye, I think I said that correctly, considered one of the pioneers of stress research, wrote, "Nothing erases unpleasant thoughts more efficiently than conscious concentration on pleasant ones." If I could bottle gratitude, I would. The benefits far outweigh almost all of the medications I prescribe without any side effects. A wealth of research suggests that daily practice of gratitude, which can be as simple as writing down several things we're grateful for every day, can improve our emotions, health, relationships, personalities, and careers. From a wonderful blog post by admin at the Happier Human and Country Ackerman at Positive Psychology Program, research suggests that gratitude can enhance happiness, well-being, mood, self-esteem, resilience, sense of spirituality, impulse to give, optimism, reduction in materialism, reduction in self-centeredness, recovery from substance misuse, resistance to stress, resistance to envy, friendships, love relationships, career, networking ability, productivity, goal achievement, reduction in turnover, decision making, physical health, including physical appearance, better sleep, fewer physical symptoms, more time exercising, less physical pain, lower blood pressure in people who are hypertensive, recovery from coronary events, vitality and energy, longevity. Focusing on gratitude has been found to increase the activity of the parasympathetic nervous system and decrease inflammatory markers, improve depression, stress, and happiness, reduce stress among caregivers, and among the elderly, significantly decrease the state anxiety and depression, as well as increase specific memories, life satisfaction, and subjective happiness. When you make a habit of bringing your attention to things you're grateful for, you enhance how your brain works. In times of stress, take a minute to write down 3 things, big or small, that you're grateful for. You might find you have trouble stopping at 3. Write a letter. Expressing your appreciation in writing to someone will benefit both them and you. Martin Seligman, Ph.D., considered the father of positive psychology, and his team at University of Pennsylvania developed the gratitude letter exercise. See pages 101 for more details. Research has shown that this practice significantly increases life satisfaction scores and happiness and decreases symptoms of depression. Express your appreciation. To enhance gratitude, add appreciation, which is gratitude that is outwardly expressed and builds bridges between people. Expressing support and appreciation to others has been shown to decrease the stress response in the brain much more powerfully than receiving support. It is better for your brain to give than to receive. I wonder who said that. To supercharge joyful thinking, get in the habit of writing down a name of a person whom you appreciate and why. Then share your feelings with that person in a quick email, text, or call. Do this once a week and try not to repeat anyone for 2 months. This exercise will help you build many bridges of goodwill. Count your blessings. You can boost your good feelings if you count your blessings instead of sheep at night. In a study of 221 teenagers, a group that focuses on counting their blessings reported an increase in gratitude, optimism, and life satisfaction, and decreasing in negative thoughts. At bedtime, write down as many good things in your life as you can think of in 3 minutes. Number 5, note what went well. Another exercise has been shown to quickly increase your level of well-being is called what went well. Research shown that people who did this exercise were happier and less depressed in 1 month and 6 month follow-ups than the study's outset. Right before bed, write down 3 things that went well that day and ask yourself, why did this happen? This simple exercise has been found to help people in stressful jobs develop more positive emotions. Number 6, focus on your accomplishments. I once treated a very successful businesswoman who had millions of dollars. She was struggling with anxiety and depression, and she felt that she was a failure in her life, was worthless. She repeatedly focused on one incident when a reporter, who as far as I could tell accomplished little in his life except trashing successful people, had harshly criticized her in a magazine article. She played the article over and over in her mind. She had an obsessive pattern in her brain where she tended to get stuck on negative thoughts and behaviors. Her first homework assignment was to write out her accomplishments in as much detail as she liked. At her next session, she brought 8 pages full of accomplishments, including employing 500 people, doing charity work, and maintaining strong relationships. The exercise made her feel great and quickly changed her focus. Write down the highest and most positive moments in your life. If you can find 1 moment, odds are you can find 2. If you can find 2, you can likely find 4, and so on. By bringing your attention to your successes, you are much more likely to feel better fast. Strategy number 5, create optimism with a dose of reality to build resilience fast. Dr. Seligman developed a concept known as learned helplessness that has been a powerful influence over my career. I found that when dogs, rats, mice, and even cockroaches experienced painful shocks over which they had no control, eventually they would just accept the pain without attempting to escape. Humans, he discovered, do the same thing. In a series of experiments, his research team randomly divided subjects into 3 groups. Those who were exposed to a loud noise they could not stop by pushing a button, those who heard the irritating noise but couldn't turn it off, and a control group who heard nothing at all. The following day, the subjects faced a new research task that involved more painful sounds. To turn it off, all they had to do was move their hands about 12 inches. The people in the first and third groups figured out quickly and were able to turn off the noise. But most of the people in the second group did nothing at all, expecting failure. They didn't even try to escape the irritating noise. They had learned to be helpless. Now here's the graph that's on page 67, so you can see it better. Yet, and this is where it gets exciting, about 1/3 of the people in Group 2 who had been unable to escape the pain never became helpless. Why? Because the answer turned out to be optimism. Dr. Seligman's team discovered that people who do not give up interpret the pain and setbacks as temporary as opposed to permanent, limited instead of pervasive, and changeable instead of out of their control. Now, I wonder where that came about. This is life is a temporary assignment. We're only here for a short time. To die is gain. Imagine. Wonder who wrote that. Optimists would say, like, it will go away quickly. It's just this one situation, and I can do something about it. Dr. Sigmund's team came to believe that teaching optimism could help inculcate people against anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and relationship problems. Here are some main ideas. First, Listen to yourself and others to see how things are explained. Are the people powerful or victims? Do they have control or no control? Are hardships permanent or temporary? Pessimists describe bad things as permanent and pervasive and good things as temporary, while optimists describe things as just the reverse. The bad as temporary and the good as permanent and pervasive. Change your language and feelings around situations you face. You can stop being a victim, take control whenever possible, and understand that hardships are usually temporary. Allow mistakes to be learning experiences rather than a final judgment on your self-worth. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how you respond to them that determines how quickly you recover. And accepting a mistake and looking for lesson you can take away from it will help you get over it and move on quickly. And here's the next thing. I'll let you look at it, and you can read it for yourself, because it is rather long. And there's the top half of it. You can read it for yourself. Strike to take control of your life. Be forward-thinking and see possibilities. A huge study involving more than 97,000 people found that those who were optimistic had significantly lower heart disease than those who were pessimistic. Women who scored highly on clinical hostility were also more likely to develop coronary heart disease. Optimism is more associated with higher quality of life, a lower instance of stroke, improved immune system function, better pain tolerance, and longer survival in lung cancer patients. Yet, as we have seen, blind optimism can lead to early death. The Longevity Project from Stanford University found people who were mindlessly optimistic died the earliest from accidents and preventable illnesses. Being sleep deprived led to increased optimism and poorer life choices. College students who were too optimistic had more binge drinking behavior, and compulsive gamblers were often rated as too optimistic. The borderline is always best to balance optimism with planning for preventing future trouble. Being optimistic about eating a third bowl of ice cream with caramel sauce will lead to early death, no matter how much you wish you wouldn't. Strategy 6. Change the B stuff. We are not controlled by events or people, but by our perceptions of them. I once heard the following story. At the turn of the century, a shoe company sent a representative to Africa. He wired back, "I'm coming home. No one wears shoes here." Another company sent their representative who sold thousands of shoes. He wired back to his company, "Business is fantastic. No one has ever heard of shoes here." The two representatives perceived the same situation from markedly different perspectives, and they obtained dramatically different results. Perception is the way we as individuals interpret ourselves and the world around us. I often say that perception is 95% reality, and the only difference between humans that really matters is perspective. Our five senses take in the world, but perception occurs as our brain processes the incoming information through our feeling filters. When our filters are good, we translate information in a positive way. When our filters are angry or hostile, we perceive the world in a negative. Excuse me. Our perceptions of the outside world are based on inner worlds. When we're feeling tired, for example, we're much more likely to be irritated by a child's behavior than usually doesn't bother us. Our view of a situation is greatly impacted on our lives than the situation itself. Noted psychiatrist Richard Garner said that the world is like a Rorschach test. RORSCHACH test, where a person is asked to describe what he or she sees in 10 ink blots. that mean absolutely nothing. What we see in the ink blots is based on our interview of the world. Our perceptions bear witness to our state of mind. As we think, so do we perceive. Therefore, in reality, we need not seek to change the outside world, but rather to change our inner worlds. I teach all of my patients the ABC model. A is the actual event, B is how we interpret or perceive the event, and C, how we react to the event. Other people or events, A, can't make us do anything. It is our interpretation or perception, B, that causes our behavior, and C, consider how, for instance, in the time I yawned during a therapy session with a patient. He asked if I found him boring. I replied that it was important that he asked. I had been up most of the previous night with an emergency and was tired, but I found what he was saying very interesting. My yawning was A, his interpretation was I was bored, B, and his asking me about it was C. I was glad he asked about my yawn because some patients, C, would have been to leave the therapy session with negative feelings. When we allow ourselves to look at the alternatives and challenge our initial negative perception, we've traveled a long way towards emotional health. Questioning the B stuff is so important. It can make the difference between a meaningful life and death. Think about the two New Testament stories of Judas and Peter, two of Jesus' disciples betraying Jesus on the night he was arrested. See Matthew 26:69 through 27 and 10. Judas accepted money to identify Jesus to the temple guards who arrested him. Later that night, Peter denied 3 times that he even knew Jesus. A was betrayal. B was their interpretation of their betrayal. Judas felt he had committed an unforgivable sin. Peter was ashamed and wept. C was each of them their reactions. Judas returned the 30 pieces of silver and then hanged himself, while Peter asked for and was given forgiveness and later became a central figure in starting the Christian church. If we don't question our perceptions, they can take us to places we don't want to go. Strategy 7. Watch the Disney movie Pollyanna. One of my favorite movies of all time is the Disney movie Pollyanna, based on the 1913 book of the same name by Eleanor Porter. After her missionary parents died, Pollyanna came to live with her Aunt Polly and was able to help turn a divided town with many negative people into a positive community. She introduced them to the Glad game, which involved looking for things to be glad about in any situation. Her father had taught her this game once when she was very disappointed. She had always wanted a doll, but her parents never had enough money to buy one for her. When her father asked his missionary sponsors to send a second-hand doll, by mistake, they sent Pollyanna a pair of crutches. How can I be glad about crutches, she wondered. When she decided she could be glad because she didn't need to use them, this simple game changed the attitudes and lives of many people in the movie. Pollyanna even told the minister what her father had taught her. The Bible had 800 glad passages, and if God mentioned being glad that many times, it must be because He wants us to think that way. Focusing on the negative in situations will make you feel bad. Playing the glad game or looking for the positive will help you feel better. This movie is worth the 134-minute investment. It's no exaggeration to say that developing accurate, honest, and disciplined thinking can change your life. If you get rid of the ants, practice gratitude, manage your perceptions, and follow these other strategies, you'll see a decrease in your worry and anxiety, anger, and negativity, and be on your way to feeling better fast. Love your secret weapon. When Jesus told us to love each other as ourselves, He was giving us good health advice. Research suggests that whenever you feel down, anxious, or angry, it is best to get out of yourself to change your state of mind. In a new study, people who wrote about gratitude activated a part of their brains involved in happiness and altruism. That said, if you want to feel better, go to the aid of someone who needs help. According to a New York Times story, in the 1970s, former First Lady Barbara Bush became so depressed that she sometimes stopped her car on the side of the road for fear that she might deliberately crash the vehicle into a tree or oncoming car. Mrs. Bush did not seek psychiatric help or medication for her depression, which she blamed on hormonal changes of menopause and stress of her husband's job as CIA director. Instead, she said she treated her depression by immersing herself in volunteer work, getting outside herself to help others. And being loving to strangers or even to people you know has an added benefit of making you feel happier. According to two studies, in one study, 86 participants were asked about their life satisfaction and then divided into three groups. The first group was told to do an act of kindness every day for 10 days, and the second group was told to do something every day for 10 days, and the third group was given no instruction. When the 10 days had passed, the groups were retested on life satisfaction. Levels of happiness increased significantly and nearly equally among the participants in the group that had performed acts of kindness or novel activities, while happiness didn't change at all in the group that did neither. Doing something for others for 10 days, especially if you're very good at deeds, is an effective way to make yourself feel better. The study suggests in another study, participants were divided into two groups and asked to recall either the last time they had spent either $20 or $100 on themselves, or the last time they spent the same amount on someone else. After completing a scale measuring their levels of happiness, all the participants were provided with a small sum of money and given the option of spending the money on themselves or another person. The researchers found that the study's subjects were happier when they were asked to recall a time they had purchased something for someone else, no matter the price of the gift. What's more, the happier they felt about being generous in the past, the greater the likelihood they would spend the money on someone else besides themselves. As the Bible states, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Acts 20:35. Finally, research shows the happiest people are outward-facing, focused more on the people they serve than on themselves. Even though the prayer aptitude attributed to St. Francis of Assisi was likely not written by him, it still provides a research-based guide to happiness. The next time you feel down, consider repeating it, and any other similar prayer or meditation, such as a loving kindness meditation. Peace Prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled, but to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in the giving that we receive, and it is pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. By consciously bringing your attention to what you are grateful for, the people who bring you joy, and your own successes, you'll see a decrease in worry, anxiety, anger, negativity, and be on your way to feeling better fast. Now, folks, that concludes Chapter 2. I encourage you to re-listen to this video again and get it in your spirit. Write down the peace prayer for St. Francis and repeat it in your daily prayers. That way you are constantly in tune with that simple yet profound prayer. And I pray that this chapter be sown on good ground for you today, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Like and subscribe to the video if you want to see more. Comment in the comments what your thoughts and what your prayers are. And hit up my PayPal if you're feeling generous and if the Lord leads you to. Everything that I take in goes to my ministry. I'm currently using a new piece of equipment that somebody sent me, and I'm going to be using this here mic before too long. All I got to do is figure out how to hook it up. I apologize because I'm not exactly technologically advanced. And also, I'm also going to be getting a tripod here before too long. Someone just messaged me telling me that they was wanting to send me a tripod so that I can span out from doing videos in my kitchen. I can do so outside in the great outdoors, that you can see more of me and have me move around a lot instead of just seeing my face all the time. So, until we meet again, folks, stay safe, stay blessed, and as always, stay in the shadow of the Almighty. This is your old Uncle Jason, signing off.